everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Thank you for joining us. To all our first time viewers, welcome back everybody who's been here before. Much appreciated, guys. So here we have on the side of the car trailer a lot of number plates from cars that I've owned, cars that I still own, cars that I've worked on, friends' cars. You get what I'm putting down. So this car here, it's a reasonably well-known skid car here in South Australia, and wouldn't you know it, there it is. It's here, it's in the flesh. No comment. Started life as a supercharged V6 VX S-Pack, and it now sports a pretty healthy LS1, high-rise EFI, Crow cam. The driver is loose. He knows how to give it shit, and he knows how to put on a show. And there is generally no fuck given, as you can tell. And this is pretty much why it's here. So the whole car is going to be getting a fresh coat of jam in the original Hyper Yellow, but there's going to be a little bit of a spin on that. All this nasty, ugly shit is going. It's going to get 2 new quarter panels, because obviously, you know, these ones looking a bit second-hand, fellas. Kind of like me after 10 beers and 3 glasses of red at a wedding. It's also had a little bit of a wall tap, so the whole quarter is pushed into the boot a little bit. That needs to be pulled out. You can see a little bit of a kink here, but we'll yank that out of there, no worries. Now we've got a donor car for this in the way of a Hyper Yellow VX SS Commodore. So we're going to peel the quarter panels off of that one, weld them into this. I'll also chuck on a new rear bar, different side skirts. We'll leave the doors on it as it is. New front guards, new bonnet, new front bumper, and some new mirrors. You can see the front guard there is a little bit ugly, so we'll rip that off and make it look pretty again. Let's get this thing unloaded. Let's get it into the shed and start stripping the guts out of it. So I'll show you what we're doing on our donor car, because it's a little bit cleaner. It doesn't have all that thick, sticky, black stuff all over it. So we can actually see what we're doing. So here is what we're starting with. Now, the first thing we need to do is obviously remove our rear bumper. Get the Rio off as well. Tail lights out. Need to unscrew this trim, which I've taken the liberty of doing. Ideally you want to remove the rear screen as well, but we can just get in here, so we won't need to worry about that. Now, we need to remove this panel here, which is like a cast aluminium. It's not plastic. It won't snap, but they do bend, but they also bend back into shape pretty easily. Now, it's held on with a nut and bolt, which needs to be accessed from inside. So you need to pull back the plastic trim and access it in that hole there. Now, as you can see, we have access to where the panel itself, the skin, is welded onto the shell. All through here, down the dog leg, underneath, all along yonder, up the back, through here, up along here, and down through the boot channel. So here's one I've already pretty well done with the wire wheel. This one's ready to drill off, and you can see I've removed all the seam sealer and exposed our spot welds. Need to be drilled individually. Basic tools you'll need to do this is a couple of good wire wheels for the drill, a drill with a good battery. And also, we're going to need a couple of spot weld drill bits. Now, as you can see, they have a point in the middle, and the rest of the surface is flat. They are a specific spot welding drill bit. A couple of different sizes there. Alright, I have updates. So it's been about 2 hours of solid drilling, hammering, chiseling, prying, swearing, almost crying, but we've got a quarter panel skin that is ready to come off. So as you can see, it looks like Swiss cheese. Looks like a rat has been here, in fact. I'm going to start from the bottom up, and there we go. There's our quarter panel skin, and there is what is left. Now before any sort of sanding, you want to make sure your panel is clean. I have already washed this, I'm just getting off the water. And there we go. So we're done with this thing now. I'll chuck the wheels back on, get it out of here, and we'll bring no comment in and do the same on that. As I said at the start of the video, this thing's had a bit of a wall tap. There's the evidence, and it has pushed the quarter in a little bit and down. So we've hooked up to the chassis jig here, also known as the Navara Chassis Tool 3000. We're going to start reefing and pull this out. Now ideally you do this with a chain so you're not getting flex, but these things are pretty tough, and this thing seriously needs to go about a bee's dick. So let's see how this goes. Better, closer, good enough. A little bit of finesse work still required. It actually looks worse than what it is, because as I've pulled here and it's pulled this out, that's sort of twisted in. So with the new quarter, I think we're going to be pretty well on the money. Been going at it with the old strip disc here for the last 20 minutes or so. As you notice, all the front end is off, boot lid is off, all the trims and things like that around the windows are gone, side skirts are gone, everything is stripped back, and we're pretty much ready to start sanding, and we'll get these quarter panels off. First things first, we're going to give it a quick pressure clean. You know me, I like things to be clean. But more importantly, when you're doing a job like this, painting, the job must be clean from the beginning, guys. There's no point trying to sand things and sanding dirt, making more scratches into your panel that you're preparing. And more importantly, when you actually go to paint, you don't want dust and dirt flying out when the air pressure hits it, going into your nice clean Juco. So we'll do that. We'll give this thing a pressure clean. She's pretty grubby. One skid pig quarter panel going up on the wall. Well, there's a lot of panel beating going on in the shed, and I haven't even started to look at this thing yet. But anyway, we've got this panel getting pretty close. It's a little bit low still, as you can see. And there's a little bit more work to be done in this corner section here. Obviously where it's had its love tap, we got a bit of a gap there, fellas. But we're not going to worry too much about that. Obviously the bumper's going to cover that, tail light. This thing's going to get trashed down on the bottom anyway, all over again. So owner isn't too concerned, which means I'm not too concerned. Once I've cleaned the rest of this panel here on the inside, we'll be able to make this up a lot nicer, manipulate this into where it needs to be, and then probably a couple of tech screws here and there. We'll use the body clamps and we'll start zapping it into place. There's so many different spots here that need to line up perfectly. There's a lot of manipulating and, you know, this sort of action with the hand. So now we've got our new boot lid on and tail light in, we can sort of get a picture of how things are going to line up, and it's not looking too bad. Might chuck the rear bar on as well, just make sure the alignment is there. Now obviously nothing is welded into place yet, so we can still move things around, but let's see what it looks like with the bar on. And if that's all good, we can tear this thing down, clean it all up, get some copper primer in there, and I reckon we can start welding. It's starting to take shape. It's looking good. We've got good alignment down here. It's looking absolutely excellent. That tail light is not sitting well and it's doing my head in, but we'll work that out later. That's a minor detail. I can't work out why this side of the bar doesn't line up properly, but we'll address that later. What I've gone and done is wire wheeled every bit of bare metal. I've then gone and deburred every single hole from the old spot welds, front and back, just to make sure we've got a nice clean mating surface so it butts up nice and flush. I've then gone and hit it with the strip disc just to make sure all the rust is gone. Now, in saying that, I'm gonna rust treat it with the old ProTech metal conditioner. Once that's done its thing, I'll hit it with the copper weld through primer. Rightio, well, it's time to start zapping away. All the welding is done, gone through and linished it all and made it all look nice. So now we'll seal the deal with a bit of etch primer, just to stop any surface rust coming through while we're finishing the job. And then once I've done the other side, we'll go through and seam seal it all, make it all look nice, and then we can put it in the high build primer and start getting it ready for paint. There's our second side off. That one was a lot easier. I'll get that all cleaned up in the morning. Fair bit of damage down here, but it's not as bad as the other side. Obviously that is supposed to be straight. So we've got a little bit of work to do there. Don't have to worry about a fuel filler this side, that makes it a little bit easier. And obviously this side hasn't been hit and pushed in, so should be a lot more straightforward. There's the old quarter panel there and the new one to go on. So I'm just cleaning up all our surfaces now. As you can see, that's coming up pretty nice and smooth. So what I've done to start with is hit the whole lot with the wire wheel, just to get any ugly silicone seam sealer crap like that off. Then come over it with the flat disc, and I'm hitting every single spot weld and just deburring, so making it nice and flat, a nice flat even mating surface for the new panel to butt up nice and flush with. Now I'm going to come over it with the strip disc, which is this bad boy here, and get rid of any old seam sealer and crap like that. Just clean it right up really nicely. And then once we've done that, we can get the hammer and dolly out. I've got a couple here ready to go, and we can just straighten out all this sort of stuff here. Make it nice. We'll have to fit and remove the panel about 15,000 times to make sure every surface is butt up and joins nicely. This needs a fair bit of work, obviously. So let's get into it. Well, the panel is all lined up and fitting pretty well. It's not too bad. The bumper and light and boot lid fits pretty nicely. Pretty decent gap everywhere. So now I'll get all of this stuff off. We'll get it into copper weld through primer. Then we can get the old lightning gun out and start zzz, 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 zzz. Now the weekend is upon us, but I just quickly want to get this bare metal in epoxy before knocking off for the week. So this quarter is all done, it's all welded on. Everything is primed and ready for seam sealer. The same deal on this side. Let's get this in epoxy, seal it. It's starting to get a bit brisk.
Winter is coming.
The air's getting cool and moist, so we don't want things sitting in metal. Now, I have buzzed that down with 240 grit. Blended that in quite nice and smooth. We're not going to prime the whole door, just the bare metal stuff in epoxy. And then we can come back later on and put it into high build. But for now, let's just get this sealed and out of the elements. Well, we're in epoxy. So that's a good way to finish the week. She's all sealed. Both sides. Both quarters are on. Everything's looking pretty good. I've finished trial fitting everything and I've stripped the car again. So I've had the bumpers on, the side skirts, headlight, grille, absolutely everything has been on the car. And I've put the front guards on the bonnet and just made sure everything lines up perfectly. So now that we've had a good trial fit, we can pretty much get into sanding. Now, I have got the new bonnet on, obviously, as you can see, and I've cut a couple of holes here for the filter and our throttle cable. So I just need to tidy that up with the flap disc, and then we can start sanding. We've got a bit of a repair to do here. Obviously, we can remove that. But this has been attacked at some stage by a sander or a dog or something. I'm not too sure what's happened there. But it's pretty ugly and it's pretty wavy. So I'm going to buzz that back to bare metal. We're going to probably seal that with epoxy, and then we'll get a layer of filler on that and smooth it out a bit. Here's our front bar. That needs a fair bit of work. We've got the Calais grille, the rear Calais bar, side skirts, and a fresh garnish. So I'll also need to remove this lower piece from the garnish. Might take the badges off. There is a way to get this horrible looking paint off. Someone looks like they've painted this with a brush. So we'll get rid of that. We'll strip back these badges and make them nice and chrome again. And it's gonna start taking shape pretty quickly now, I would say. Also got a new fuel filler cap to go on.
Paint our wagon, gonna paint it good. We ain't bragging, we're gonna coat that wood.
So there's our bonnet all scuffed back. Now I've hit it with 240 and then 400. Now I might need to high build the entire bonnet. I'm not too sure yet. I'm gonna have a closer look. But this section here I've buzzed back to bare metal, obviously with 40 grit. Hit it again with 240. Now I've put it in primer, and then we're going to fill the dents. And I've also etch primed the little bare metal bits here as well. So next step, we'll let this dry. We'll put some dolphin glaze filler in here, smooth off all the dents. Alrighty, well that has had long enough to sit, so we're ready to fill these little dents. I've got my mixing board ready to go. We've got some dolphin glaze. I seriously rate this stuff. It's a very fine finishing filler, as they call it, but it is like a self-leveling sort of bog. It's really good for little things like this, and just like your little pinhole sort of things, cracks and stuff like that. Don't need a lot of hardener either. Alright, I have updates. The car is now buzzed back. I've hit the whole thing with the DA. A lot of bits I've hit with 240 grit, so there was a lot of clear peel on the pillars and over the top of here. So that's all been done in 240. Same as the rear doors. And then I've come back and hit them in 320 just to get them flat. So they're not silky smooth, but they're flat. Good enough to lay down some high build primer. So I'm going to put both rear doors in high build. I'll also get some high fill on the bumpers. They are all repaired, sanded and ready for high fill. I've got to sand this stuff here very quickly. Also got our side skirts here, which just need a quick scuff back and repaint them in a wild card grey. We won't go into that yet. And we've also got the roof trims and window surrounds, which I need to give them a quick scuff back and hit them in some GMH black. So our donor Calais garnish, somebody has come over with the matte black paint can and blacked out the bottom section. Why, I don't know. It seems to be the thing to do, but they've hit the badge as well. Now I've taken the badges off. And what I've done, this is an old trick that a very, very good friend of mine taught me long ago. Chuck the badges in a little bit of gun wash, fellas. Just let them soak. And you can see it is eating off that shitty black paint. Then once they've been in here, so, you know, leave them for half an hour. Pull them out, hit them with the brush. That crap will wipe straight off and they will look good as new. And there you go. That took all of about 10 minutes. They're nice and shiny, polished finish again, just like new. Now I'm just sanding down all our plastic bits, so the fuel flap, the rear garnish piece. I've done the mirrors, just little things like that. Now, anywhere where you go through to bare plastic, it's very important. You've got to hit it with plastic primer. It's actually got a flexible sort of agent in it, which means, you know, when the plastic bends and folds, the paint is going to do that as well. Otherwise, if you don't use this stuff underneath, when your paint bends, it's going to split, crack and flake off, and you're going to have paint flaking off everywhere. So bumper bars, things like that, you've got to use plastic primer, guys.
Gonna paint our wagon, gonna paint it good. We ain't bragging, we're gonna coat that wood. We're gonna paint that wagon, we're gonna paint it good. They ain't bragging, they're gonna coat that wood.
She's looking the goods. There is our high fill done. So both back doors, couple of other little areas here and there. So we'll let that sit. Longer the better, but we'll let it go for a day or two. Now we've got everything masked up for our seam sealer where we've joined our new quarter panels. For that we're using this gear here. It's just your run-of-the-mill seam sealer. This is like a creamy colour, but it does come in black as well. But it's pretty easy. We're just going to run a bead along our gaps and any holes. Then we're going to go through with either our finger or a brush and just brush it in, make it all nice and smooth. Alright, our seam sealer is on, and if we're very careful, we should be able to grab the tape, and we will finish off with a reasonably clean line. And there we go. So that's basically what it will look like. Alright, our seam sealer is dry enough. You can pretty well paint straight over this stuff. I'm going to go and put some primer on this first, just to get it all one uniform colour. So we've got just the rattle can. It is a 2-pack high fill primer. Light coats, guys. Just start off light and gradually build it up. You don't want to just come in here and hit it with a big thick coat. You'll have runs. It'll be horrible. We don't want to do that. We're getting pretty close. It's been a big Easter weekend. I didn't have much of a break. Just really want to get this thing done. So the whole car is now gone over in 600. All the bits in high fill I've done in 400 so far. Now I've put a guide coat on so I can finish wet rubbing this with an 800 and get it nice and flat. Same as the bumpers. But yeah, most of the car is already in 600. It just needs its final wet sand in 800. So the C-pillar molds are now Sikaflexed back in, just waiting on them to dry, and I'll remove the tape tomorrow. Fuel flap is back on. Under there is all painted. In the boot jam is painted. Door jams, all that sort of stuff is done. So we're looking good. We just literally need to spend half a day to a day wet sanding this whole thing down, and then once we get some good weather we can get the old gun out and lay down some jam. Well, it's taken a while, but we're finally here. We're pretty well ready for paint. The whole car is sanded down. So as you can see, I've now removed all the masking tape and old paper. Always put fresh stuff on, guys, before your final layer of paint. And not only that, but we're going to wash the car. It is critical that we get all of this fine dust and residue out. That gets right into those fine cracks and sanding marks in the paint. We need to get that out. And the only way to do that is the old-fashioned hard work. So all this stuff is back on and ready to go. Once we've washed the car, we can give it its final mask up, and we're pretty well ready to paint. We'll crank the heaters up in here, get it nice and toasty, get the air nice and dry. We'll fire up the big lights, and we can finally get some colour on this. The time has come, finally. Got the heater absolutely pumping. It is dark in here. I've just turned the lights off so I can film quickly. Everything's set up, ready to go, sanded, prepped, masked up, and just got to do one final prep sole and tack everything off. And then we can start hitting this thing in its hyper yellow. Once that's done, we're going to let that cure for about an hour or so, because we need to mask off the bumpers, and then we need to do our lower parts in our two-tone colour, which if you know a Calais, you know it's going to be grey. But we're not going the original grey, we're going something a bit old school to give it that custom touch. Let's fire up the lights, give this thing a wipe over, chuck the suit on, mix some paint up, and let's make this thing look pretty. So we're going to start off with our base coat, which is our hyper yellow, obviously. Now this is a 2-to-1 mixing ratio, which basically means 2 parts paint, 1 part thinners. There is no hardener in base coat. The hardener will come later with our clear. So we've got our measuring cups set up. We'll probably actually get another one, but so we look at our 2-to-1 marks. We go A with paint and then B with thinners. Pretty straightforward. There we go, 3 pots of paint ready to go, so I'll give that a mix. Once that's all mixed up and ready to go, we will give the car a final once over with the tack cloth and the bumpers, all the parts, and then we will be ready to paint. So we've almost got coverage after 3 coats. Starting to get a little bit heavier now as well. So I would say probably another 2 coats and we'll have full coverage. And then the rule is to go 1 extra coat after that. So our base is down 5 coats. It's come up pretty good. It's nice and flat. Obviously it's looking dull because we need to clear coat it. So what we're going to do is chuck a cover over the car in an hour or 2. We'll let it sit for a little while. And then we're going to tape up our bumpers, mask off along the body lines there, and we'll paint our lower sections. And we'll demask, decover the car, and we'll clear coat the whole lot all in one hit. So I think it's going to turn out pretty good. For what it is, you know, we're not in a spray booth, we're not in a sealed environment by any means, but the old gas jet heater has done the job, and for what it is, I think it's going to look pretty good, guys. Rightio, well, the yellow base has had time to sit, so we're all covered up, we're masked up, ready to do our skirts and our lower sections of the bumpers. Now, the owner said, look, let's do the two-tone like the Calais is, but let's give it a bit of an old school feel to it. So we're actually going MX Grey on the bottom. MX Grey, for those who don't know, is what they used on the VK and the VL Calais, the bumpers, all the lower sections, that grey, that is MX Grey. So I think that's going to contrast pretty nicely with the yellow. It's a bit of a lighter grey than what the factory VTs and VXs used. Beautiful, beautiful metallic grey though. Almost like a gunmetal. All done. All the clear is on. Looks awesome. The video's not going to show it very well, but you can see she's pretty shiny. Not bad at all, straight off of the gun. So we'll let that sit for a while now. Redoing the badges. To do this, I've got the old double-sided tape here. And I've just laid the badges on there, and I'm just going around it with a blade, doing each letter one at a time. It's fiddly, it's time consuming shit, but it's got to be done. And there we go, all ready to go into the car. So I'll have to tape it off tomorrow, measure everything, make sure we get it all nice and smooth, make sure we get it all aligned properly. And we're back, it's the next day. We've let the car sit overnight, and I've got to tell you, it's come up pretty good. In case you can't tell, I feel shit. I'm pretty croaky. I'm starting to come down with something. Haven't had much of a break in the last 3-4 weeks. But, you know, it's the final push now. It's Monday morning. The big unveil is scheduled for this Saturday. So I reckon probably 6 hours we can have this thing back together and pretty much ready to give back to the owner. So he's got a few things to do on this as well. There's a little bit of customization gonna happen with the back axle there to get some big fat meats on the back of this thing. So I won't say too much, but it's gonna look the goods. So anyway, there's only one thing for it. Let's dig in and get this done. Because the sooner it is done, the sooner I can have a day off. It's been a while, fellas, not gonna lie. And my bed is calling me, so let's get it done. I've already put the Holden badge on the front and the boot. Did a little bit yesterday, Arvo, got the rear bumper clips and things like that in. The taillights are in. These taillights are a bit average, they sit a bit on the piss, as you can see. The side clips aren't really clipping, so the owner's gonna do something about that, I dare say. Probably order some new lights, some new clips. Calais garnish is on, rear badge is on. I tell you what, it's looking the goods. Hyper yellow Calais, so good. The two-tone worked out really well. The MX grey just absolutely pops against the hyper yellow. So hopefully he doesn't destroy this rear bar straight away, but knowing the owner, I know that he's going to, so that's fine. And there it is, all done, ready to chuck on the trailer and take it back to the owner. Unfortunately, we've run out of time, so I can't do a wet sand and polish on it for now, but we'll get it back next week. Hopefully he doesn't add too much rubber to the mix and I can make it look like glass, but off the gun out in the sunlight it does look pretty nice. Anyway, I'm going to get this loaded up on the old Blue Girl, get this thing back to him. He's got some work to do before the comp. VQ rear arms are going in it, some tyre cutters as well, a full service. And then it will be out on the skid pad on Saturday. So stay tuned to the end of the video. I'll chuck a video up of it torturing a set. And I'm sure this thing is going to turn a few heads. It has come out really, really nice. Really happy that I could make the dream come true for the owner. It's been in his mind for many, many years. So hopefully he's happy with it. I know I am. I think it's turned out pretty good. Anyway, that will do it for another episode of True Blue Motorsport. Once again, guys, please like, share, subscribe to the channel. Also like us on Facebook. And of course, if you want anything like this done, reach out. You can hit me up through Facebook. Have a friendly chin wag. But please, guys, just remember, it's not a $200 job. Obviously, I get a lot of messages asking to do work, and you really do need to understand, guys, there's a lot of hours that go into this. Just materials itself for this job alone was a little bit over $2,000, so bear that in mind before hitting me up for a job. Anyway, thanks again for watching, guys. We'll catch you on the next one.
No, tell them to do that. No, fuck. Tell them to do that.